Hey YouTube, my name is Nick, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing two Pokemon games that I bought off of eBay, and I'm going to be showcasing how you can tell the difference between a legitimate copy and a reproduction. And so, without further ado, I will present the two copies that I bought, but before I show them, I'll give you a chance to maybe take a guess on which games you think I purchased. If you guessed Pokemon Emerald and Pokemon Sapphire, then you would be correct. So, how do I know that these two copies are legitimate? They are currently missing their labels. Well, there's a few telltale signs to know that you have legitimate copies of Pokemon games. One of the most common ones is on the back of these cartridges, you'll see like these 4 squares. Even on Sapphire, you can kind of make it out, those 4 squares there. But I've read that even though these cartridges might contain those 4 squares, I've heard that those have been faked. If you look at my copy of Fire Red, for instance, you will notice these like numbers engraved on the back, and if you flip it to the back, you will also see these 4 squares. Usually when you see both of those things at the same time, it's a pretty solid giveaway that it's a legitimate copy of the game. When the seller initially posted these two copies on eBay, they didn't show the front of the cartridges. I had to actually ask them to show me the front of it because it was kind of hard to tell if they were legitimate or not. But when I asked them to show me the front, I was like, okay, no label copies. But another way, if you get a no label copy like I did, is if you look closely on the inside of the board, or if you can take it apart if you're looking at it in person, and you see chips that look like this, and possibly batteries that look like this, like it's kind of blue color, then you would know that this is a legitimate copy with this little, I think they call this a crystal in the top left, and this Sapphire looks the same. I also have a copy of Pokemon Ruby, but this copy is kind of interesting because I believe it's in a reproduction case. I mean, it's quite obvious because it's like dirty and it's kind of broken and it doesn't exactly look legitimate. But I got this from my friend many years ago, and there's this thing in the middle, which these ones don't have. So it's a reproduction case, and I'm pretty sure it's a reproduction label too, because if you look closely, you can't really see any numbers engraved into the label. But there's no question about it that this is not a reproduction copy, because if I take this apart, which I will in a second, and you look at all 3 boards, they're all basically identical. So this one I know is not a reproduction copy, and my best friend gave me this, I think, I don't know how many years ago, it was like in 2014. He got it for like 14 bucks from Amazon. And I've had it ever since. He just gave it to me. Anyway, I'm going to go get the screwdriver to show the inside of these cartridges, all of them, just to showcase it. And we'll go from there, just to give you a better look at what's there. So I came back with my tri-wing screwdriver. It's a very small one, but that doesn't matter. Either way, so if you have the chance to take apart the cartridges you're looking to buy, then you'll be able to get a better look at the inside of the cartridges. This one I replaced the battery in it, so that's why it doesn't look like the batteries in the other 2 copies. I have to get around to replacing those, but you can see here that it's got these engravings on the bottom, and the chips match the ones that are in Sapphire and Emerald as well. There's other notable things, like if you can see this rectangle in the top left when the label is covering it. The cartridge, if you can see it there faintly, then that's another telltale sign. But definitely if you can see the engravings, which it's not on this Ruby copy because it might be a reproduction label, but like on this Fire Red, if you can see the engravings in the cartridge, which is not focusing but you saw it before, and you can see the 4 squares, that's usually a pretty good sign that it's a legitimate copy. But again, if you can take it apart and you can have a look at the chips, and they have these MX this MX writing on it, then there's a pretty good chance it's a legitimate copy. Another thing that tipped me off that this was a legitimate copy was that these two copies have the original batteries in them. And if you look at many other listings on eBay, you will see that they have these same batteries in them. Like this in Emerald, they're blue. And I'm not sure, I need to look again. I'm going to take this one apart. The default battery in Sapphire, if I could get the screw out. There we go. The default battery in Sapphire is red. Yeah. So if you see like a red battery or a blue battery in Emerald and Sapphire, then most likely it would be a legitimate copy as well. But again, you really want to look for this MX engraving on these chips, and that's how you know they're legit. And this crystal and this thing in the top left, you can see every legitimate copy has that little box in the top left. But let's say you don't have the screwdriver and you can't take apart the cartridges in front of the seller. There's another way to determine if the copies are legitimate without taking them apart. And let's say if you're still unsure after checking the engraving, like the number engravings and the 4 squares on the back. So you see them, but you're still not 100% sure. Another way to tell if you have a legitimate copy would be to plug in a 4th generation game using a DS or DS Lite. And I have my copy of Pokemon Platinum here. And trying to transfer your Pokemon that way. So once I put these back together, then I'll show you what I mean. So if you want to put these back in place, the cartridge heads, not the cartridge heads, the cartridge lids, if you want to call it that, is you kind of have to put it a little bit in front of the thing and you push it up to slide it closed, and then you just screw it closed by putting the screw in. So back to the other part, where if you have a 4th generation game and a DS or DS Lite, you put that in, and you grab your copy of the game that you want to check to see if it's legitimate. We'll do Sapphire, for instance. You take out this bottom port, at least on the DS Lite model. You slide in the cartridge, nice click, turn on your DS Lite, and you'll want to start up the game. Let me turn up the brightness on this a little. So there's Platinum starting up. So if you have a legitimate copy of the game, if you scroll down, you'll see the name here and it'll say migrate from Sapphire. And if you go into it, it would let you do it. So let me turn off the light. So would you like to migrate? You just hit yes and it would work. But I'm not going to do that because these copies still have their original save files on it. See, it says Maddie. And my name is not Maddie, so I'm just going to hit no. But if you can see on the title screen, migrate from Sapphire, that's a good sign. And I'll show you with Emerald, it does the same thing. And there it is, migrate from Emerald. And it does the same thing. And you'd hit yes if you want to do it, and no if not. And I'm going to hit no just because I do not own the Pokemon on those cartridges, and I want to start all over. But anyway, now we'll move on to showcasing what's actually on the save files. So I decided to boot up my GameCube because I thought instead of recording my Game Boy Advance screen, which is really small, I'd just direct capture my GameCube itself because I have the hardware to do it. And while we're here, might as well just show you some menus. So here's the clock. It's kind of busted. I never replaced the clock battery. I really have to get around to doing that at some point. The option menu is pretty standard. And here's my save files if you just want to take a quick glance. I have a 1018 memory card and a 50 block memory card. My 50 block kind of just holds an alternate Animal Crossing town just so I could have upgraded the shop to the highest. And these are just all my saves if you're curious. I've never shown this on my YouTube channel before. So there you go. Pretty neat. But anyway, down to what we're really here for. I'm just going to show you that I am using a real GameCube. I'm going to spend a 3-second, I guess you can say, clip here to close the lid. And now you'll see the game read on screen as I move the controller up. There you go, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. And this is how I boot the Game Boy player. Speaking of which, I'm going to put Pokemon Sapphire in first. So the beauty of this save game exploit is that you can just run the Game Boy player without owning the original disc, which in 2024 costs something like $200 loose, which is just crazy. And all I have to do is Splinter Cell is press A few times. And there you go. It will load the Game Boy interface. Ooh, hold on. That's going to need to be reinserted. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. This time it should work just nice. Wow, that's kind of loud. Okay. Yeah, so one thing about these carts that I think I may have already stated is that the seller didn't tell me that the batteries were dry in the listing, which is whatever. I had a feeling they were going to be, but, you know, would have been nice if they were, you know, upfront about it, but whatever. So this save file is owned by someone who goes by the name of Maddie, I guess, and it's funny because I don't even know how the seller got these, just because you'll see on the other save file in Pokemon Emerald, there's a completely different name, and the seller's name was Marcus, so I just found that interesting. So initially, when I had the save file, because I think I tested it before I made this video, but when I initially had the save file, whoever played this game last, they were in the Elite Four. They were about to battle the third person. But what's funny is when you go to their name, you can see that they've already beaten the Elite Four. So I'm not sure why they wanted to do it twice. Maybe they were farming money. But we're just going to have a quick look at their Pokemon. So in their party they had a Rayquaza, a Swampert with a Dive Ball for some reason, a Kyogre, a Lairon, Swallow, and Lomber. In their box they have Torkoal, Minun, Silcoon, Zigzagoon, who has an Ultra Ball for some reason. There's a Gulpin, Whismur, Trapinch, Grimer, Geodude, Wingull, Poochyena, Oddish, another Zigzagoon, Spinda, Sandshrew, Swablu, Makuhita, Lunatone, Absol. There's a Cacnea, Numel, Seviper, Spoink, Metatite, Linoon, Aaron, Manectric, Breloom with a Macho Brace, Hariyama. There's Chinchu, Kecleon, Tropius, Marill, Clamperl, and Pelipper. And I think that's all they had on this save file. As far as I can tell. Oh, there's a little bit more. There's also a Slugma and a Surskit. Oh, and the Slugma's named Hay for some reason. I don't know why. Okay. So. I think if I were to check their Pokedex, I could see what they have. Okay. I'm just trying to see if maybe they got some other legendaries besides Rayquaza, which they, I guess, hung on to for some reason. Like, I'd find it weird if they didn't catch the others, but only Rayquaza. Huh. So that's interesting. They went for Kyogre, or so it seems. And here's where Groudon is probably supposed to be, and then there's Rayquaza. Interesting. I don't even think they went for the Regis. Which is very... That's very interesting. Anyway. So that's it for this save. I just wanted to document what was on the save file before I wiped it, because I'm going to play through Sapphire and Emerald again. So now I'm going to reset and put in Emerald. Here we go. So yeah, this one also has a dry battery, as you can see. And this one was owned by Austin, which is still not Marcus. Okay, so in this game on Pokemon Emerald, we have Swampert with a Paralyzed Heal, Kecleon, Rhyhorn, Tropius, and an egg. There's Wingull, Skitty, Dustox, Poochyena, Shuppet, Geodude with an Everstone, Vulpix with a Rossberry, there's Natu, Dustox, Doduo, Oddish, Mightyena, Swablu, Aaron, Castform with the Mystic Water, Tailo, Natu, and another Minun. And I think... Did I check their party? Yeah, I already looked at their party. I think that's all that this save had. So this save file was actually... Oh. Brook? Alright. Anyways, this save file was actually saved in Little Root, or Little Root? What am I saying? We're in... It said at the top left. I honestly just forgot. I'm blanking. Fortree, sorry. This save file did initially start in Fortree. I think they were sitting here and I just wanted to check their Pokemon, so I went over to the Pokemon Center, but... Yeah. So that's about it, I think. So that was the Pokemon that were on these saves. Oh, actually, yeah, wait. I just want to step aside. I want to check... I want to check their Pokedex.
I think this save file has the national dex, whereas the other one didn't. But I may be wrong about that. No, it doesn't have the national dex, but interestingly enough, it has seen... Actually, wait, no wonder that... Okay, it's obvious that this save doesn't have a national dex. You know why? Because I forgot that this save file only has 6 gym badges, so they didn't even finish the game, whoever Austin was. Anyway, but that's going to be it for this video, pretty much. If you enjoyed, leave a like, you know, and I'll see you in the next video. And there we go. So I'm going to wipe those saves, but at least I documented what was on them before I got rid of them. So again, thank you for watching, and have a good day.